What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, with this video, we are jumping into Moon Knight issue number 5. And if you haven't been keeping up with this line, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well at the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with Moon Knight. But when it comes to this issue, it is not one you are going to want to miss. This issue is absolutely amazing. Arguably my favorite issue of Moon Knight so far from this line. And as we're going through this issue, it will be cutting back quite a bit to his session with the therapist. The superhuman therapist, superhero therapist, if you will. And I think that's part of what makes this issue so great, is the breakthrough that he has during this therapy session. But with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 5, the therapist is letting him know that she has some concerns. Now these concerns, they surround him not telling the whole truth. Now he assumes it's automatically about his dissociative identity disorder, DID, but he hasn't had an episode in weeks. And when Jake or Steven do surface, it's usually only for a few minutes. But that's not what she's talking about today. She is talking about how he hasn't been completely honest with everything going on. Because at the end of the day, he's an extraordinarily high-functioning individual. He experiences high amounts of stress all the time. And because of this, his stress threshold has gone through the roof. And so his personalities, they don't usually pop up unless something extreme happens. Versus somebody who isn't a superhero, who doesn't wear this mask and go out and fight crime, who doesn't have the stress level he does, things that are less stressful would probably trigger them. But she lets him know that his deal with the Avengers is that he goes to this mandated therapy. Not only that, he tries his best to become a better person, but to do that, he has to be 100% honest with her. Now, throughout the rest of the comic, we will be continuing that conversation she has, but we do jump to later that evening. After he's already had this meeting, it has put him in an absolutely horrible mood. And because of that, he is ready to get out there on the streets and just kick some freaking butt. Luckily for him, Terry has already showed up and he has something. And what Terry tells him is that whoever's been gunning for Moon Knight, he knows who it is. And he tells Moon Knight that it is Soldier. Soldier is the one gunning for him. But picking up in our therapy, Moon Knight is telling her he doesn't understand what he is not being truthful about. He's logged all of his episodes. He submitted to multiple brain imaging sessions. In his opinion, he has been entirely transparent with her. But this isn't necessarily what she is referring to, because there are more to his mental health conditions than he wants to put on, saying that he's smart, resourceful, charismatic, which means that he is very good at hiding how he truly feels. And though he believes this to be completely ridiculous, she asks the question, is it really? Because tell me your honest answer of why you insist on being masked. But the question she asks next is really what makes him question everything. The question is, why are you unhappy? Now this is where we pick up with Moon Knight kicking in the door of Soldier's apartment. Or at least this is what Terry is telling us, saying that he followed Soldier here and he found it kind of weird because Soldier lives with his mother in another apartment a couple blocks away. And as the two of them look around, they find all of this super high-tech gear, laser mics, recording equipment, surveillance gear, and all of this is pointed directly at his mission. And as Terry looks at all of this, he's just in awe, wondering, is this guy some kind of CIA, FBI? Where is this guy coming from? But we see Moon Knight, he finds a picture of Soldier back in the day, and on his chest it says, "Hail Hydra. And back inside of our therapy session, we are talking about what makes him unhappy. Why is he so unhappy? And he answers that with, why should I be happy? When has happiness ever mattered to the Fist of Khonshu? Because at the end of the day, he doesn't have happy. He has his duty. He has the debt that he has to pay. But the therapist, she knows that this is him just deflecting. Because that is what Moon Knight would say. That is what the mask would say. And this puts him at pause as he takes a minute to think about everything that she just said to him. He asks the simple question, are you Jewish? Because we know that his religion, before he found the Fist of Khonshu, that he was a Jew. He was a devoted Jew. His father was a devoted Jew. And we're going to see how that plays a part as we go further into this session. But right now, we are picking up with him later that evening doing his best to try and track down Soldier. Because right now it appears that Soldier is working for or has worked for Hydra in the past. Now since then he has blocked out all of his tattoos. So we don't know that he is working for Hydra until this moment. Regardless if it was past or present, regardless if he is still working with them or not, he knows one thing is for sure, is that Soldier had all of that surveillance equipment pointed directly at the mission. And so he has been keeping an eye on him. And so instead of trying to track down Soldier all through the night, he goes to the one place he knows Soldier will eventually come back. And that is his mother's house. But picking back up in our therapy session, we are picking up with Moon Knight talking about how there's being Jewish and then there's being raised by a rabbi. Because his father was the kindest, gentlest man he had ever known. But there was never anything kind or gentle inside of Mark. His father, being a man of peace, he absolutely hated violence. And Mark believed that is what made his father weak. A weak man serving an indifferent God. Because at the end of the day, that was the Jewish stories. We lost our homes, our land, they were enslaved, and then escaped into the desert. And from then until now, they have simply just taken their licks from practically everyone in human history. And his father taught him that their perseverance was their people's greatest quality. How they never gave up on their faith, their laws, their covenant with God, how they could laugh to keep from crying no matter what happened to them. So when he died in Selma, he doesn't feel like anyone could blame him for accepting the Khonshu's offer. He put aside his God, who had let terrible things happen to his people, a God he had never seen, never heard, in favor of a God who spoke right to him and promised, join me, be my son, and together we will get things done. And he tells her that all his life, he thought his father was weak because he was kind and gentle and would never raise a hand in violence. But he would have died before he broke his faith with God, before recognizing another. Because at the end of the day, he truly does feel like he is the weak one. He sold out everything he had ever been raised to believe in to save his own neck, to further indulge in his addiction to violence. He traded his father's God that took them out of Egypt for a new God that kept them there. And so what he is really saying is that he regrets his decision. He got his life back, but what good is it? He buried his father, he killed his brother. His friends, either they're dead or they hate him. And when he was asked by a god to take down the Avengers and put his boot on the world's neck, that is exactly what he did. And he did it well. He did what he was told, what was supposed to be the right thing to do, no matter what his ears, his eyes, his soul told him. But at the end of the day, he didn't help a single person. And now his kid, her mother are an ocean away because they're scared of him. You know, the therapist, she couldn't understand before why he would take being the Fist of Khonshu so seriously when it cost him so much. And it's not that it cost him so much. Being the Fist of Khonshu, it took everything from him. It's because he doesn't have anything left. If he is not the Fist of Khonshu, whatever he chooses to understand that is, then he is just Mark Spector, the man who always makes the wrong choice every single time. The man who threw away his religion, his heritage, killed what family he didn't bury, the man who brought him harm and trauma to everyone who ever cared about him, the man who couldn't breathe from the guilt of crossing over his head. And it's no wonder that he developed DID, because at the end of the day, he would rather be anybody else than Mark Spector. Now that's where we pick up later that evening, and Moon Knight has found Soldier, currently chained up with a radio above his head, saying that this is a twist all along, that Soldier wasn't the one keeping eyes on him. This has all been a trap set up to bring Moon Knight here. And with Moon Knight doing everything he can to try and break this chain, with it being hardened steel, he can't just simply break it with brute strength. And through the radio, he is being told that he has two options. Moon Knight could walk away right now, declare that he is a phony, declare that he is nothing more than a chumped up hero, that he is a fake, then the bomb in this place will not be detonated. Or he can try and save Soldier's life. And that will be the end of Moon Knight and Soldier, because it will detonate prior to them being able to escape. Now, of course, Moon Knight, he's not going to let Soldier die. Regardless of Soldier's past, regardless of who he was, none of this was his fault. And so, grabbing the chain, he breaks out his microplasma torch, a toy from his wealthier days. And his only hope right now is that he is able to cut through this chain before that bomb reaches its 0 mark and detonates. And so, as the two of them are struggling with great effort to break this chain, with Soldier and Moon Knight pulling on it as he cuts through it with the microplasma laser. And this is where we see the detonation. The entire building goes up in flames, but Moon Knight was able to get them out underneath the streets, coming up in front of the building from one of the manholes. This is where we see Terry. Terry was the mastermind behind this the entire time, standing there greeting Moon Knight, saying that he underestimated him, but this is going to be fun. Terry seeming like a complete and utter psychopath. But he tells Moon Knight that Terry never actually existed, and his real name is Zodiac. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. For me, I absolutely loved it. It was such a great dive into his psyche, because for 5 issues so far, they haven't really touched on the fact that he is Jewish, or at least he gave up his Jewish god so that he could fight for the Fist of Khonshu. And this really goes into why he doesn't talk about it anymore, because at the end of the day, he is utterly ashamed of what he has turned into. But at the same time, he doesn't think that he can go backwards. That if he is not the Fist of Khonshu, then he is just Mark Spector, and that is something that he would rather have a split personality than ever accept the fact that he is who he is. And so it's just amazing writing. It's such amazing writing. They dove so deep into his mind, and you really connect with him in such a wonderful way. You really feel bad for him. You kind of begin to understand why he is such a tortured soul. And so for me, this is definitely the best issue so far, and I am 100% looking forward to what they do forward. I think this is going to be one of the best character arcs for Moon Knight in quite some time. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.